something's wrong. With just days left before the first laps of 2026, Formula One's most advanced teams, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, are falling behind in silence. Power units are failing. Simulations aren't lining up with real-world data. And rumors are now turning into real consequences. The paddock is locked down. Barcelona will be a private test, no cameras, no media. And that's not a coincidence. Because what's happening behind closed doors might be the most dangerous preseason collapse Formula One has faced in over a decade. And once the first engine fails to start, once the first car doesn't make it through turn 1, it's too late to hide. This was supposed to be the reset. The clean slate Formula One needed. New rules. New power units. A new generation of cars that would balance combustion and electricity in ways the sport had never seen before. But now, just days before the first private laps in Barcelona, what's emerging behind the scenes is the opposite of control. Multiple teams are entering this new era blind. Engines haven't completed race simulations. ERS systems are failing under thermal load. And software designed to manage power distribution is triggering warnings the second cars leave the simulator. Red Bull, for all their dominance, are running out of prep time. Their Ford-built hybrid unit, a system developed from scratch, is still throwing unpredictable surges on deceleration. And with no benchmark from previous seasons, every fix feels like guesswork. Mercedes isn't immune either. They've built a tight, aggressive concept around efficiency and low drag. But now their engineers are finding it overheats faster than expected, especially under the new electric load. Ferrari, meanwhile, have taken a more conservative path. A heavier engine block, built for durability. But the trade-off is weight distribution, and the early signs suggest they've lost more than they expected in chassis flexibility. And then there's the political pressure. The FIA has already locked the 2026 rulebook. No more technical directives. No more clarifications. Every team has to show up in Barcelona with what they've built, working or not. And that's what has everyone tense. Because the deadline didn't move. The expectations didn't drop. But the systems aren't behaving the way they were supposed to. And that's not just a technical problem. That's a crisis in motion. The warning signs aren't loud. They're quiet. Strategic cancellations. Shuffled logistics. And interviews that suddenly don't happen. Red Bull's rollout date was pushed twice, officially due to final adjustments. But internally, power unit test data is showing gaps. Gaps that Ford's own engineers haven't been able to close. Battery temperatures are running above modeled thresholds. The system is delivering inconsistent energy recovery at corner exit. And the only thing Red Bull has confirmed, unofficially, is that the ERS is under ongoing refinement. Mercedes has remained even quieter. They're running their dyno at night, out of schedule, away from external contractors. And yet, someone close to Brixworth let slip, too many deployment maps. Not enough certainty. That's not a comment about power. That's a comment about trust. Trust in a system that's supposed to adapt automatically, but doesn't when under real stress. Ferrari's issues are different, but just as concerning. Their new combustion unit, built for 2020 SIXS fuel blend, is heavier than projected, not just in raw weight, but in thermal density. And that's causing slow, creeping side effects. Cooling systems are being pushed closer to failure. Rear-end packaging is being adjusted last minute. And at least one simulation showed unstable downforce under acceleration. A direct consequence of chassis flex compensation. And yet, none of this is public. No press releases. No briefings. No quotes. That's not a coincidence. It's the silence before the storm. What if this isn't about teams making mistakes? What if it's about a system that was never given enough time to succeed? Because quietly, off the record, several engineers from different teams are saying the same thing. This timeline, from regulation confirmation to full engine and chassis integration, was impossible. It wasn't just aggressive. It was unrealistic. Internal reports show that multiple manufacturers, including Mercedes and Red Bull powertrains, flagged issues as early as 2022. They warned that the complexity of the new hybrid deployment logic, the battery chemistry changes, and the fuel-to-electric transition window required at least 6 more months of parallel testing. The FIA acknowledged those concerns, then moved on. Because admitting that the timeline needed to shift would have meant more than just pushing a date. It would have meant confronting sponsors, rescheduling media rights, and undoing 2 years of narrative around a next-gen Formula One. Cleaner, faster, more efficient. So instead, they held the course, and the teams were told, build around the rules, adapt if it breaks. But here's the problem. When you build around a deadline instead of around the technology, you don't get performance. You get risk. And that's where we are now. Teams with half-integrated systems, test benches that don't simulate race conditions, and software modules that are being rewritten days before shipping. This isn't the result of poor preparation. It's the outcome of a rushed revolution, pushed through on time, no matter what it breaks. And what it might break next isn't just hardware. Here's what makes this even more unsettling. No one is talking. Not in public. Not in press conferences. Not even through off-the-record briefings that usually flood the media in preseason. And that isn't an oversight. It's a signal. Because in Formula One, silence this close to testing isn't normal. It's intentional. It's protective. Teams know what they're facing. They've seen the data. They've run the simulations. And what they've learned in the last few weeks hasn't given them confidence. It's given them cause to shut everything down. Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes have all postponed technical briefings. Supplier-level engineers have been told not to speak to press. And at least one team, according to insiders, has issued legal threats over leaked performance metrics. Why? Because once the illusion breaks, once one team admits they're behind, the entire structure collapses. Sponsors panic. Regulators step in. And every other team is forced to answer the same uncomfortable question. If you knew it wasn't working, why didn't you say anything? That's why the silence is so coordinated. Everyone is waiting for someone else to blink first. But here's what no one is explaining. This may already be out of the team's control. Because if just one manufacturer, let's say Red Bull Powertrains or Alpine, shows up in Barcelona and can't complete a race simulation, then the FIA won't be able to contain the narrative. They'll be forced to explain why some cars are slower than 2025 models, why battery deployment is being limited, why certain cars are running in restricted modes even before the season begins. And once that happens, the illusion of a smooth 2026 reset is gone. Because the problem won't be about lap times anymore. It'll be about credibility. If this crisis continues to escalate, if Barcelona becomes a parade of half-functioning cars, failed systems, and limited power modes, then the 2026 season won't be defined by pace. It will be defined by survival. Because the first 3 races won't be about who's fastest. They'll be about who can finish. And that could change everything. Red Bull, who dominated in 2023, 2024, and 2025, built their new car around full integration with a brand new power unit. If that system proves fragile, if thermal instability continues, they may have no margin for recovery. Mercedes? They've gone all in on aggressive energy deployment and weight savings. But that same design philosophy leaves them exposed. If their hybrid systems can't deliver consistent output under real-world stress. And Ferrari, while conservative in approach, may be too conservative. Their heavier combustion setup could keep them reliable, yes, but at the cost of agility and outright speed. Then you have teams like Aston Martin, Haas, and Sauber, who played it safe. Low innovation. Conventional layouts. But maybe just enough dependability to capitalize on the chaos. And suddenly, the midfield might become the battleground. Not for points, but for momentum. Because if one of those teams can finish races, bank early results, and avoid powertrain penalties, they might find themselves in a title fight they were never supposed to be part of. Even more dangerously, this environment opens the door to political games. Teams might begin lobbying the FIA for temporary allowances, software relaxations, hybrid deployment waivers, or delayed penalties, under the excuse of technical stabilization. And the moment that happens, fair competition is gone. Now it's a contest of influence, of who knows how to play the system best, not just who built the best car. That's the real danger, not just the failures, but what comes after the failures, if the rules start to bend under pressure. So now, everything rests on one test. Barcelona. Private. Restricted. No live feeds. No full media access. Just 3 days, to see what actually works. And the fact that the FIA has chosen this setup, so quietly, with so little visibility, only adds to the tension. Because the real question isn't whether these cars are fast. It's whether they work. Whether the power units hold. Whether the battery systems respond under live stress. Whether the technology that's been locked in by regulation can actually survive race conditions. And if it can't, that's when the crisis truly begins. Because there will be no second reset, no regulation delay, no emergency vote. 2026 has already started. And if these systems fail in testing, they'll be failing in races, on television, in front of the world. The illusion of control is already fading. All it takes now is one team, just one, to publicly pull out of a run, or admit a system isn't stable, and the rest will follow. Because that's the part no one is ready for. Once this starts falling apart in public, the narrative is gone, the control is gone, and Formula One will be playing catch-up for the rest of the year. So yes, the crisis is real. Yes, it's critical. But the worst part is simple. It hasn't even started yet.